Hello, vinyl community. This is Rich at Embarrassment of Riches, here with my much belated November pickups video. It's been a long week, man. Apologies. But I do have some great stuff that I picked up over the month of November. It's quite a stack. I may have to break this up into two videos. So, first off, two things that came at the very beginning of the month that didn't make it into the previous month's videos. First off, 25th anniversary edition of the Flaming Lips Soft Bulletin. This is a 2LP and it's on a Zoetrope vinyl. I haven't played this one yet because I have another one. And I don't know about the Zoetrope, but still, one of the best albums ever, in my opinion. Race for the Prize, Spoonful Weighs a Ton, The Immortal, Waiting for Superman, the Spider Bite song. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to love this record. And, 25 years is quite an achievement for this classic. So I may play it eventually. I'm not into the gimmicks so much, but you can't top the music on this thing. There's no fault in that. And another one right up my alley that came at the end of October was this, the 4LP box set 30th anniversary edition of Definitely Maybe. It's 4 LPs with basically an alternate takes album and some demos and stuff like that. Very important album to me. I still remember where I was when I heard this. And the first time that I saw them in concert was on this tour. I think it was the second U.S. show, and we saw them in San Diego, and 91X, the radio station, was putting on a show, so the tickets were only $9.10. It was at the Great Soma, if you've ever been in San Diego. Cool place to see a show. Shitheads in the show were throwing shoes at them on stage. I never understood that. Even at punk rock shows, that's fucking dumb. They sounded great. They were a little pissed off. Documentary footage seems to bear out later on that they were super high on crack cocaine. They still sounded good, I enjoyed it. Not the crack. No, I wasn't smoking crack. And here's one for anyone who knows me very well will be shocked to find out that I have not had this record until this last month. It is Morrissey, Viva Hate. This is an original 1988 press. It's a US. Nothing to brag about. But I avoided getting this one on vinyl for a long time. It's not, I don't have a favorite Morrissey album. As big a fan of the Smiths and Morrissey as I am, it was always the singles that meant everything. So the singles here, Every Day is Like Sunday and Suede Head, perfect pop songs, and him at the height of his powers. The rest of it really isn't all that great. This is for the completionist in me, the completist. I will give it a listen. It's been probably 20 years since I listened to this straight through, so maybe there's something I was missing at the time, and with maturity and space in between all that, I can find things to like about this that I didn't like back then. Regardless, it's another piece of the Morrissey collection. I'm slowly, ever so slowly catching up to Brian at Embryonic Robot. Because at the time it seemed right and I had none of these in my collection, I figure this will be my first as I collect as many of the 12-inch singles from the classic period of the band Love and Rockets that I possibly can. This is off the Earth, Sun, Moon record, and this is from 1986, the Kundalini Express. Probably one of my favorite songs on that classic album. This also has on the B-side Lucifer Sam, a Syd Barrett song, which tracks when you consider this band, Also, there is Holiday on the Moon. Great condition and, led me down kind of a rabbit hole for the Earth, Sun, Moon record, which I didn't realize. I know the album. I'm familiar with the album. What I did not know until I went on Discogs to look through it was that there were 9 12-inch singles released off of the Earth, Sun, Moon record. 9. I can't think of any other album from that time or any other that had 9 12-inch singles released. That is fucking label support right there. And really, that album didn't do any better than the self-titled follow-up. I think the self-titled follow-up went gold. So I will list them for you if you're interested. These 9 12-inch singles include, first and foremost, Kundalini Express, which I believe was the first 12-inch released prior to that Earth, Sun, Moon album coming out, followed by Yin and Yang, The Flower Pot Man, All in My Mind, Mirror People, Waiting for the Flood, The Light, No New Tale to Tell, another jam off of that record, Lazy, Dog End of a Day Gone By. That, man, that's a lot of 12-inch singles. And then there's the album following this one that I have to get because that's got So Alive, Motorcycle. Yeah, it's going to take a bit, but I think I'm going to try to get all of them if I can. Oh, and here's a picture of the boys in the back. Next up in the November finds is Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, all their greatest hits. They're calling this a collector's item up here in the corner, but this is cheap heat, y'all. I can find this any day of the week for $5 to $7 at a record store. It's also a gold stamp promo for whatever that's worth on a $5 record. But nothing but great songs on this one. And of course, I am a fan of the Blue Notes because of their drummer, the young Theodore Pendergrass. And he eventually became the lead singer of the group. And there's great stuff on here. There's If You Don't Know Me By Now, there's Wake Up Everybody. Oddly enough, my favorite song off Wake Up Everybody is Don't Leave Me This Way, which I'm not alone in that because that was a massive hit. That's not on here, but there are great songs on here. There's Teddy singing, sweet, sweet music, and super cheap. Speaking of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, I've been on a bit of a quadraphonic kick lately trying to find these great records from the 70s that have been given the quad treatment. I can switch my stereo up to play in quad, and these records do sound great. The next two will be my favorite ones that I've found so far in the quad format. And continuing on with the Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes that we were talking about earlier, this is my favorite album of theirs, Wake Up Everybody, with the aforementioned Don't Leave Me Now. Also, you got on here, the title track, Wake Up Everybody. You Know How to Make Me Feel So Good. This is Teddy overpowering you with his vocals. Funky, funky stuff. And yeah, this one in quad sounds even better. There's a picture of the boys right there. There's young Theodore. Yeah, this is great stuff. And I had mentioned earlier when I found, I think it was the Willie Nelson Redheaded Stranger quad mix. These are not any more expensive and are often cheaper than the original pressings because some people are trying to play them on systems that don't have quad abilities, I imagine. Even then, they probably still sound pretty good. Regardless, I got this for less than $20 and I would have paid more if it was required. So I'm glad, always glad to find a bargain. Also in the quad, Santana's 1969 debut, classic record, obviously. This was given the quad treatment in 1974, I believe. That was about the height and the golden age of the quad mix. Insane sounding. I mean, even the regular original pressings, the newest pressings, some $5 finds you can find at a store. There are very few records that have the musicianship of this joint right here. Insane. Of course, there's Evil Ways, Soul Sacrifice, and my favorite of his guitar playing on here is Jingo. Drums as well. It's a sick joint. Absolutely great song and a wonderful album. And this quad mix collection of mine is up to, I think, 4 now. Not bad. It's a start at least, right? I know that talk of Grail records gets thrown around a lot, and most people consider that to be some expensive record that they were able to find cheap. I consider it a record that has proven to be very hard to find, and I find it for less than what it's going for. And it takes a special place in my collection because it started in a special place for me. This one right here, Punkorama, 1994 compilation from Epitaph Records. Now, if you're not familiar with Epitaph, they are Bad Religion, Rancid, No Effects, 10-Foot Pole, Down by Law, Pennywise, Offspring, the most successful independent label of all time. And 1994, when I got this on CD, because I didn't have a record player in 94, I was destitute and did not have a record player anymore. This one changed my life. I had just started going to punk rock shows in 1994. I had a very good friend from work who told me about all the music on this CD. Changed my life. Saw some of these bands, and I saw many others in Southern California that were touring at the time. Absolute earth-moving change in my life for music I was loving and listening to. This is one record. I saw this once at a record store on the wall for $150. It wasn't even sealed, and I don't think on Discogs it's ever sold for more than $70, $75. But it never comes up for sale on eBay, and I never see it at record stores. And I finally saw one on eBay. Nobody else bid on it, and I got it for far less. Again, I've been very lucky lately. Far less than I would have paid for it because I was not letting this one go. I had let one go a few years ago and absolutely kicked myself in the ass for it because it wasn't all that much. It was just, at that time, it felt like a few more dollars than I wanted to spend. But this is mine in my collection now, and I'm very, very happy to have this one. If you haven't heard it, it is a great, great introduction to Southern California punk rock from the mid-90s and a label that did change the world. Although I do buy quite a lot of new albums from new bands, I'm still trying to fill in some pretty large gaps in the collection. There's one of the new kittens. Hey, Lucy. All right, sorry. Gaps in my collection, yes. And a glaring gap in that collection was this original press from 1977 of Low from David Bowie with generous helping hands from Brian Eno and Iggy Pop. Probably my favorite Bowie album, although I do love the entire trilogy from Berlin. This one has Breaking Glass, Sound and Vision, Always Crashing in the Same Car. It's got great songs. And this one sounds really good as well. I was considering buying a brand new mix. But no, I think I'm going to stick with this one. This next one is one I had actually bought a copy of in Dublin when we were there just a couple of months ago. It was a Europress, and my youngest son is a big Steely Dan fan, so I gave that one to him, and that left me bereft of Donald Fagen's classic 1982 solo debut, The Night Fly. I needed this record, found it at my local at a great price. I'm telling you, like, the local's on the come up, and I really like this. It's very Steely Dan-ish, which you would expect, obviously. I'm enjoying it. This one record right here is kind of how I knew one of my local stores was on the come up, because he put this on his Facebook page, and I asked him to hold it for me. And because of certain things going on in my wife's work schedule, it took us 2 weeks to pick it up, and he was absolutely cool with that, and the price was great. I have been looking for this one for a long time. It's Can Your Pussy Do the Dog by the Cramps. Absolute essential classic. Not released in the US. This is a French import, 3-track, 10-inch. It says it's a limited edition, but who knows how many they made. I think this is number 3,000 something. I didn't even know the Cramps ever sold 3,000 of anything. And I am so glad to have this one. As I said, this is my absolute favorite Cramps song. Look at Poison Ivy on the cover there. Very glad to have this. I got an email from one of the labels that I love to support overseas. It's Last Night from Glasgow. And they did the God's work the last couple of years of re-releasing the first couple albums from the Trash Can Sinatras. Sadly overlooked band here in the States, and a rabid fan base of those of us who are fans. I'd seen that with the 2 times that I saw them in concert, once in California and once in Missouri. They also pulled out a lot of other great stuff, and they did carry pre-orders for Brian Ferry's retrospective. I am a huge fan of Roxy Music. Brian's solo work I'm not as familiar with, and I figured if I'm going to start, this is the place to start. It's a 2 LP, has basically Brian Ferry's greatest hits. There's some covers, there's originals, and I'm really looking forward to this. And in entering this on Discogs, there was also, I found, a CD release of this retrospective that's a 5 CD set. I am not a CD buyer. I don't listen to CDs anymore, but this thing sounds so complete and so good. There's a full disc of stuff from the Brian Ferry Orchestra, which I didn't know such a thing existed. A disc of rarities, a disc of covers, and 2 discs of the greatest hits. I mean, that's something. Yeah, I might have to look for that in a FLAC file or something. I'll find a way. But Brian Ferry, looking good as always. Oh, yeah. And look at Brian there in his sartorial splendor. If you have stuck around this long, I'd like to give you my sincere thanks and tell you that I'm about to wrap this up as quick as I can. Ending up here with the vinyl subscription clubs that I belong to. First off, the Interscope Vinyl Collective record, the Across the Universe 3 LP set soundtrack from the movie that's all Beatles covers, was delayed and finally showed up last week. So that's going to be in the December vinyl video pickups. All that leaves now is Vinyl Me Please, who we know famously has been shitting the bed lately, and last month really didn't have a lot that I was interested in. I may regret not picking one up. I think I might order that again when swaps come around next month because, again, the bed shitting continues in January. So that led to me getting a second copy of Blonde on Blonde. You know, this is the correct orientation, but to make it easier to look at the young man. There's Mr. Zimmerman himself, and Blonde on Blonde is a great, great double album. And this was when Vinyl Me Please was still doing great things and making stuff sound great. This is a very, very great sounding record. Comes with a print, frameable if you are into that sort of thing. Yeah, they were on a hot streak for a while, and I am still a member. I only get the Essentials track now because I can't spend that kind of money on things that I'm not going to enjoy. So that leaves the one thing that they tend to do pretty well is pre-orders for exclusive vinyl. This one here was a pre-order that took a goddamn long time, but I'm hoping it's worth it. It's a record that I really enjoy, Voodoo, from D'Angelo. All my favorite players are on this one, as well as the great D'Angelo singing and adding to the music as well himself. This one was a long time coming and made a lot of people so frustrated they did jump ship on Vinyl Me Please, which I can understand. I'm pretty frustrated myself sometimes, but I'm glad to have this one. They limited it to 1,500 units, and I still have this one sealed. I haven't opened it up yet, but I got time tonight. I think I'm going to play this one first. Lastly, of the pre-orders from Vinyl Me Please is one that I ordered and arrived exactly on time. I can probably make sense of that because I think there's 15 other pressings of this thing right now. But this is the limited edition Vinyl Me Please. It's on evergreen vinyl. 20th anniversary edition of Food from the Metal Face Doom himself. Great record. I have the VMP version from 2018 as well. That's the only one I have. I don't have this in its original Rhymesayers press because if you see the Discogs average, you will understand why I do not. Regardless, it's a great record. I got 2, so I can, again, give one to my youngest son who loves Doom. Yeah, this one arrived on time in great condition. Anyway, that was my November vinyl pickups. Thank you very much for hanging out. I enjoyed watching everybody else's. It's going to be time soon for everybody's December vinyl pickups. And there are a lot of vinyl tags coming up. I just saw the Americana vinyl tag. I saw the mystifyingly titled 2025 vinyl tag. I'm going to try to participate in each of these So yeah, I better get going and grab some records from the stacks, and I'll see you guys next time. I know, and I think Iggy's on this one. Fuck, VG plus condition. Fuck, this one record right here. If you stuck around this long, there's the kitten again. Oh, there's two of them. If you stuck around this